President Trump says the June 12th summit with North Korea could be delayed. He spoke Tuesday after a meeting with South Korean President Moon Jae-in.
Well, we're moving along, and we'll see what happens. There are certain conditions that we want, and I think we'll get those conditions. And if we don't have the meeting. And frankly, it has a chance to be a great meeting for North Korea and a great meeting for the world. If it doesn't happen, maybe it'll happen later. Maybe it'll happen at a different time. But we will see. But we are talking. The meeting scheduled, as you know, on June 12th in Singapore. And whether or not it happens, you'll be knowing pretty soon. But we're talking right now.
Sabrina Siddiqui is a CBSN political contributor and a political reporter for The Guardian. She joins me now from Washington. All right, so Sabrina, fair to say that the president is hedging about this summit with North Korea just in case?
Absolutely, and I think that this underscores just how complex these negotiations have been from the outset, and there seems to have been some misinterpretation of Kim Jong-un's overtures thus far by the Trump administration, where the president had voiced confidence that Kim Jong-un is willing to make concessions, certainly with respect to dismantling North Korea's nuclear program. That doesn't seem to actually be the case, and this reinforces the need for the administration to have had a very clear plan going into this summit for what the prerequisites of such a meeting would be, and to also have a clear understanding of what concessions Pyongyang was both willing to deliver, as well as what concessions Pyongyang was expecting from the United States.
And meanwhile, so much at stake for South Korea. What role is South Korea's president, President Moon, playing in all of this?
Well, he's certainly been playing a significant role in acting as somewhat of a mediator between the U.S. and North Korea. And I think that's where some of the miscommunication may in fact lie, where President Moon, perhaps in his communications with Trump, professed more confidence in some of the concessions that Kim Jong-un was willing to make. What you do have on all sides is a great desire to come to the table and to hash out some sort of peace treaty. But I think that's why it's something that has eluded previous administrations, because we have seen the sensitivity of these talks, and we have in the past gotten positive signals from North Korea that haven't always borne fruit. And it is also, I think, underscores why it's challenging to mark many of the steps we've seen thus far as unprecedented. They have been important developments, but they haven't been unprecedented. Other administrations have also made similar progress, only for things to fall apart at the last stage. Now, we're not yet at the point where this entire proposed summit has fallen apart, but it looks increasingly unlikely to transpire in the same way that the administration had initially envisioned.
Well, President Trump also appeared to insinuate that China's President Xi Jinping may have tried to derail the summit. Do we know, Sabrina, if that's actually the case?
Well, it's hard to back up the president's suggestion without clear evidence that that's what actually happened. I do think that to some degree the president would like to shift blame if this meeting does not in fact take place. Now it's easy to look at China as one of the targets, but I think partially what happened is the president suggested a willingness to revisit the company ZTE, which had previously been, of course, under scrutiny for having violated sanctions against Iran. And that sort of paved the way for Kim Jong-un to, at least it seems, made his own push for some concessions out of the U.S. president. So, in fact, President Trump has not been particularly consistent with respect to his own negotiations with China, which, of course, directly intersect with his ongoing negotiations with North Korea. And again, it reinforces that this is a president who has a lot of conflicting positions along the way, and is certainly receiving advice that often is not consistent with the situation on the ground.
Meanwhile, on another issue, the White House says a meeting between congressional leaders and the FBI and the Justice Department to review classified information will take place Thursday. Do we know what documents they'll be allowed to review?
Well, we're still learning more details about the specifics of the documents, but I do think one piece of this that has been striking is that Democrats have said that they have been left out of these conversations. And one of the concerns or prevailing concerns for those who are wishing to uphold the integrity of the special counsel and its investigation is that members of Congress could use these documents for predictably partisan motives. And you have seen, of course, the House Intelligence Committee weather a great deal of controversy, particularly because the Republicans, led by Devin Nunes, who is a close ally of this president, has sought to issue a report that many people believe was misleading and preemptively absolved both the president and his campaign officials of any wrongdoing in the course of the 2016 election. And so I think that this is another way in which some people believe the president is trying to interfere with the ongoing investigation into Russian interference in the U.S. election. How these documents might be used by members of Congress, we don't yet know, but we've, of course, seen many indications that supporters of the president will probably try and both sides, should say, will try and cherry pick the facts that suit their narrative, perhaps more to the detriment of the special counsel if there are more documents that are released that omit some of the facts.
Well, speaking to reporters Tuesday, the president was asked if he had confidence in Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, and the president replied by saying, "Next question." Sabrina, do we know what is Rod Rosenstein's current standing within the Trump administration?
What we do know is that Rod Rosenstein has been a key target of the president and his allies as this investigation unfolds. It has been notable that this is not the first time the president has declined to provide any assurances that Rod Rosenstein is safe in his position. He was asked at a press conference, the president just a couple of months ago, a joint press conference with one of the world leaders, if he was willing to take off the table firing Rosenstein and Robert Mueller, and he declined to do so. So I think that he is looking for, of course, a way to discredit the investigation. And so part of what you've seen is the president's legal team and his allies trying to suggest that people like Rosenstein are somehow tainted, that they've stepped out of bounds because they are, at the end of the day, Rod Rosenstein is the one who is overseeing Robert Mueller's investigation and its independence because Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself. I think that what many Republicans do agree, having said that, is it would be stepping out of bounds for the president to fire Robert Mueller and perhaps also Rod Rosenstein.
All right, Sabrina Siddiqui in Washington. Sabrina, thank you.
Thank you.